I live in good old-fashioned Long Island suburbia, and hell yeah. And I don't know what poisoned the tap water this time, and possessed hordes of little boys to simultaneously partake in military shaves and/or mullets. I feel like I woke up one day and every middle schooler looks like he exclusively drinks Bud Light and honk to us his chewing tobacco. My brother has become one of these children. Unfortunately, I know. But instead of beer and snuff, it is all Prime and Feastables. The beta versions, as some have said. But he recently opted for the military shave because apparently the drafting age is now 13. So when I saw him last weekend, the first thing I did was rub his head like a crystal ball. It was very soothing. And one thing to know about my brother is that he's a natural blonde, so he's officially in his Eminem era. But do not get it twisted, he is not the real Slim Shady. So please do not put him on blast on MTV. Do not sit him here next to Britney Spears, and for the love of God, do not sing the chorus as loud as it goes. Oh, hey, I said, what did I just say? No, don't sing the chorus as loud as it goes, and it goes, no Slim Shady, I am also not the real Slim Shady, unfortunately. Which reminds me that having a younger brother is just such a bizarre experience in general. Because you can't let him know when you think he's funny, because that defeats the purpose of keeping him #humble. But the farther he slips into internet culture, it is getting really difficult to not let him know that I unfortunately understand each and every single one of his references. It's honestly the one common ground we can stand on, confusing the hell out of our parents. But I fear they're catching on. One incredibly contagious Gen Alpha bug that my parents have especially taken to is brain rotting. And guys, they're getting good. We went to Alaska this past summer and did a whale watching excursion, and we saw a whale breach, which, if you don't know, that's when a whale jumps out of the water and slams back down about as gracefully as anyone on the Fordham men's basketball team attempting to dunk. But it's this beautiful, awe-inspiring act of nature, once in a lifetime, truly phenomenal. And we get back to land, and the first thing my dad does is turn to my brother and say, "Is that breach Sigma or what?" And I couldn't even argue. And I couldn't even argue, because yeah, Dad, it was. Correct context and all, I'm proud of you. But what I didn't expect was that they were going to start out brain rotting me, which I didn't think that would be possible, and yet they defy my expectations. Because when I came home a couple months ago, the first words out of their mouths were, "Hi, Donut. How was your train ride, Donut?" I know what you're thinking. Oh, that's not brain rot. That's just exceptionally random. Quirky, even. But then it hit me. Because every single time that I go home, and my parents are slightly more accommodating to me, my brother claims that, "Bro, you're glazing her." So they co-opted the glazing terminology and turned it into their own level of inside brain rot. Genius. The wave of emotions that I experienced that first time went as follows. Number 1, confusion. I was not in on the joke. Number 2, offense. I don't know, Donut didn't quite sit right with me until I figured out the context. But then finally, number 3, pride. Yeah, I think with a little more exposure therapy, they'll understand the entire plot of Skibbity Toilet. But having younger siblings in a completely different generation than you is also just such a strange experience. My sister's 10 years younger than me, and it only recently hit me that my mom found out she was pregnant with her in Colonial Williamsburg. March 2016, where are you at? So naturally, when she found out, the villagers strapped her to the back of a horse and sent her off into the Virginia sunset. She was past the prime birthing age of 17. No, I kid. It was the back of a mule. No, but what actually happened was she kept throwing up at the Airbnb we were staying at. And at first we blamed it on the rancid smell coming from the garbage disposal. But then she started craving Doritos and pickles to cure the nausea. it was at that point that my dad took my brother and I to ye olde Walmart to buy what I can only assume were pregnancy tests. And I say assume because I have a very vivid memory of my dad telling me to stand over there with your brother and face the wall while I pay. Ominous. But of course I did as I was told. Like, what do I look like to you guys? A misbehavior? A troublemaker? Never. But another side effect of having a significantly younger sibling is that I've been mistaken as her mother several times. It gets worse. The first time this happened was a couple years ago. I was on a super crowded ferry with my family, so the two of us got separated. You know, I was just sitting there with her, minding my own business. And at the end, the woman sitting across from us came up to me and went, "You know, you were taking such good care of her. I thought she was your baby." But then I thought that would be ridiculous. But you never know. Ma'am, I am 13 and look 10. What do we think is going on here? And if the tragic situation you just played out in your head was real, why would I be vacationing to Fire Island under these circumstances? But on that dark note, here's a more lighthearted ending. Gen Alpha, more like Gen Sigma. Yeah, my dad would really like that one. Thank you so much.